So, despite the fact that there's a lot of people out there who criticize electric vehicles to this day and who don't feel comfortable with the possibility of owning one, as you know, I ordered my Cadillac Lyric, and the process was pretty simple. Basically, I had signed up, I think, for the order notification to pop up as soon as it was available. And when it actually popped up, I believe I was in traffic, I was driving. And what I did was I saw it pop up on my phone in my email. And then I immediately, while I was on the highway, I was using my adaptive cruise control and I immediately signed up for it. And the reason why I was so quick to sign up for it was because I remember the first pre-order session for the rear-wheel drive models was over in like 4 hours. It was so quick that people signed right up for these things and they bought them almost immediately. Here in New York City, electric vehicles do not sit in the stores at all. If a new electric vehicle comes in, it doesn't even matter what it is. Doesn't matter if it's a Genesis GV60, a Hyundai Ioniq 5, Kia EV6, it doesn't matter. The things sell almost immediately. When you're on the streets here, you're in the parking lots, you see Tesla Model 3s, Tesla Model Ys everywhere. That's pretty much the best-selling electric car right now. Now, I personally like Cadillac. I don't live far from Cadillac dealers. Their service, as far as I've seen with my mother's SRX, STS, and XT5 has thus far been exemplary. And usually whenever she needs any type of service, they always have a loaner ready for her. And they've given her no problems. And that's why we continue to lease with that Cadillac dealership. So as far as Mopar, they've been pretty slow to unveil their electric vehicles. Supposedly, they're supposed to unveil their electric vehicle this August, but that's still a ways away, and thus far, they've given me absolutely nothing to be excited about. And as I've said, I'm pretty much done with gas vehicles because I've already been through 3 different gas crises, and at this point, I'm ready to just move on to something new. So here I have a car that can drive itself. It is fully electric, so I can plug the thing into either of my houses and just recharge it at any given time, gas no longer being an issue. And on top of that, it has everything that I pretty much want in it. Heated, cooled massage seats, a pretty good air conditioner. And at this point, all I'm doing is just waiting for the delivery. So I'm very, very excited to get it. All I have to do is wait until they actually build the things and then deliver them. So the question being posed here is Cadillac's claiming that they are going to build a new electric vehicle that's going to be $300,000. And it says on this article, here's what Cadillac's new $300,000 electric sedan is going to look like. And the question is, would you buy it? Or do you think it's going to sell? It says GM on Friday unveiled Cadillac Celestiq. And basically, that's the way you're kind of supposed to pronounce it because the IQ is their marquee for an electric vehicle, just like in Mercedes, how their cars are supposed to be EQ and then S or EQB or EQE and so forth and so on. So the Celestiq previewing on upcoming car that will cost $300,000 or more when it goes into production by late 2023. The car marks a pivot for Cadillac into hand-built vehicles, which are typically reserved for high-end sports cars and uber luxury models. GM did not release any technical details about the Celestiq, such as its electric range, performance, or other metrics. So this said, Detroit said on Friday, previewed what's going to be its most expensive Cadillac ever. The Detroit automaker unveiled a show car version of the Celestiq, an upcoming hand-built sedan that will cost $300,000 or more. Cadillac is calling the vehicle its new electric flagship sedan. The car marks a pivot for Cadillac into hand-built vehicles, which are typically reserved, so forth and so on, for high-end cars. The vehicle will feature 5 LED interactive displays, including a 55-inch diagonal screen spanning the front cabin of the car, a smart glass roof that includes customizable transparency options, and Ultra Cruise, GM's next-generation advanced driver assist system that the company has said will be capable of driving itself in most circumstances. GM confirmed such technologies will be part of the production car, however declined to provide the additional details. The Wall Street Journal first reported the expected price and production of the Celestiq, which CNBC also confirmed through a person familiar with the plans who spoke anonymously. Show car is meant to preview to upcoming production car as opposed to a concept car that automakers typically use to preview certain elements or design direction of a car or brand that may or may not be produced. Cadillac leveraged a similar launch strategy with the electric Lyriq SUV, which recently went into production. GM said designers drew inspiration from well-known cars such as the bespoke V12-powered coaches of the era before World War II. Those vehicles represented a pinnacle of luxury in their respective areas, blah, blah, blah. GM is investing $81 million at its tech center in suburban Detroit to hand-build the upcoming Celestiq. It marks the first time GM will produce a vehicle for commercial sales at its massive tech campus in Warren, Michigan. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I personally just don't think that this is going to happen. I mean, I think what's really happening right now is that GM is trying to build up this excitement by saying that we're going to build this car that none of you are going to be able to afford unless you're rich in order to get excitement for the brand. From what I can see here, there's nothing in this car that's worth $300,000. There is no leather that GM can use that's worth $300,000. There is no metal that GM can use that's worth $300,000. There's no LCD screen. There's no computer. There's no technology. Short of them literally building a flying car, I just don't think that this is going to actually happen, especially at the price that they say it's going to happen. Now, would they build an electric car? Oh, absolutely. They could build an electric car to supplement the Lyriq. Will they eventually build an electric SUV? Oh, absolutely. They probably will eventually build an all-electric Escalade. Considering the current Escalade is going to cost you about $150,000 loaded, when you're factoring in there's about $10,000 to $20,000 of markups. Oh, I could absolutely see them building an electric Escalade that costs $300,000. But the problem is they wouldn't be able to sell it in numbers large enough to basically justify building something like that. So I just, $300,000, I just don't see it happening. Cadillac is not Rolls-Royce. Cadillac, for the existence of Cadillac, has never been on Rolls-Royce level or say even Bentley level. And they certainly haven't been on Mercedes level because Mercedes builds a product that is light years beyond everybody else. And then they charge you Mercedes money. And I just don't think that this is going to happen the way that they claim that this is going to happen. I really believe that when all is said and done, they'll probably end up building some type of electric car that costs, they could build one for $100,000, but GM tried that already. And their $100,000 cars didn't sell because people were making the move to SUVs. The Escalade can cost $100,000 easily, especially when it's fully equipped. That makes sense because the Escalade is a gigantic car. It doesn't matter about the technology in it. It's a gigantic car used for Uber Black services, limousine services, celebrity services, and so forth and so on. But do I believe that they're going to build a car like this at that price? No. Now, they could prove me wrong. They could, forget the hand-built portion. There's no way they could justify that if they're using the same parts that they have from the Lyric's parts bin. Now, one thing I have to say that GM did that was smart was they said, we're going to make the Lyric to be its own car. We're not going to use parts from any other parts bin in the Lyric. Now, thus far, the reviews on the Lyric have been good. Now, will the Celestiq have the same parts as the Lyric? Chances are it probably will. I don't see GM really fulfilling this product in this manner because they'd have to sell enough of these things to justify them existing. Could they prove me wrong? Oh, absolutely. The way I see it is there ain't nothing that's ever going to roll out of GM worth $300,000. In fact, even like that new Hummer that just came out, and from what I remember, the Chinese bought majority share of Hummer. That Hummer is supposed to be about $100,000, but because everybody's going crazy to get an electric vehicle, that Hummer has been marked up to half, and in some cases, $250,000. The bottom line is something's only worth as much as somebody else is willing to pay for it. I don't see anything in these pictures that I'm willing to pay $300,000 for. I just don't see it. Mercedes EQ ain't worth $300,000. Mercedes EQS, those things are worth up to about $150,000. Even Tesla, who makes basically the fastest electric production sedan in the world, those things are not worth $300,000. They're worth $150,000 tops, and once they start to depreciate, they drop down to $110,000 in less than a year of depreciation. From what I know, nobody else makes an electric vehicle that's $300,000. Lamborghini builds the Sean, but that has electric and it has a V12, and that is like over $1.2 million. But to me, all I see is a Lamborghini Aventador with a body kit and some electric stuff thrown into it, and probably extremely high maintenance. So if they can get $1 million for it, good for them. But short of Rolls-Royce building an electric Phantom or an electric Ghost, I just don't see anybody pushing electric cars for $300,000. I don't see it. From what I know, there's no electric car short of possibly one of those electric race cars being sold at $300,000. I just don't see it. There's nothing in this picture. There's nothing in these photos that I see that's worth. There's only one car that Cadillac ever made where I could ever see $300,000 being a price tag. And that was the Cien concept car, which was basically like Cadillac's Lamborghini. They never built it beyond the concept. However, they did build a coupe that was fast in the CTS-V, and then they followed up with the XLR, which was basically a Corvette in disguise as a Cadillac. And then they brought us all these concept cars like the 16 concept, and then they didn't build that either. Now, these cars in limited numbers, I could almost see being worth $300,000 as collector items. But the problem is, how would they build a car that the public wants to buy that would be worth that kind of money? The CL, which is here, is the one car that I thought they were going to build, or I thought they were going to get close to it, but they ended up just building the CT6. And the CT6, because it was a car, not an SUV, didn't sell in the numbers they wanted it to sell, although I have to say it was a really good car. The CT6 had the Bose sound system. It had a pan-array Bose sound system, heads-up display, thermal vision, infrared heat vision. It had the ability to drive itself with auto cruise. I did a couple of videos driving the CT6. I even took my mom to drive it. She really, really liked it. As a car, it was everything you expected out of Cadillac. It was big. It was attractive. It was really nice. The downside was that back then they didn't offer V8s. They only had a V6, and then they offered a twin-turbo V6. And then later on, they offered the Blackwing twin-turbo V6. And me personally, I would have been happy having a CT6 if all it had in it was the the twin turbo V6, or even if it had the regular V6, because when you buy a car that size, you're not buying it to race anybody. You're just buying it to be a cruising mobile and to just be comfortable. But that's all I had to say. You tell me what you think. Would you spend $300,000 on a Cadillac? Now, short, again, me just to reiterate, short of the CN or possibly the CL, I don't see it. A 16-cylinder car that's a drop top or a Lamborghini replica or something, that I could see. But short of that, I just couldn't see it.